then I hope that people will give themselves a moment, accept that the suffering of the ones who died in that plane, for example, did not suffer in the way that we imagine they did. And I couldn't believe when it first started happening, a year after he passed, I saw him as a little tiny 1-year-old little boy, and he ran behind me. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I realized that I'm peeking into heaven. That's why I do my conferences. I bring the whistleblowers from the government, the White House, the Pentagon, who've done terrible things. We name the leaders with proof.
But I think, lots of these people that experience fire or crash, I think before that they leave their body. So they don't really feel that pain of the crash or the fire burning their body or anything.
When an event is about to occur, the soul leaves the body, so that the child, the baby, they are not suffering, they're not burning alive, they are not going through that.
Okay. Hello. Thank you very much, everybody, for coming to my channel. Today I have a wonderful guest, Dani Henderson, who I respect and who I love so much. She's an English lady. Dani, thank you very much for coming to my channel. I know you're busy.
No, thank you. Thank you for having me and receiving me. And I love you very much and respect you and everything you've done and do for the Japanese people too. You're amazing.
Thank you, thank you. And I know you are very busy preparing for G6 in USA, which is September. And I visited your G6 in Eastbourne this May, which was really life-changing event. I didn't expect that much. It was very full of love, 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 and high frequency. And you are very different from what I see you on screen. Because when I see you in person, really, face to face, and you surrounded by your close friends and your crew, and when you're on stage, you're very funny, humorous, charismatic. But at the same time, you are a very, very loving person. I could feel all your love, lots of love, which was impressive for me. So I never saw anybody full of love like you. You're very, very, really, from my bottom of my heart, I think you're very, very charming and loving person, and you're very, very full of love. You look too strong sometimes on the internet. You're more like a warrior, fighting, but inside you're like an angel, a very loving person. That was my impression when I went to G6 in Eastbourne. And of course, the spacecraft that showed up, that was also very, very impressive. But, in Japan, and myself, I have seen UFOs already many times in foreign countries and in Japan, and many of my friends have seen UFO already. So witnessing UFO might not be that special for some of the Japanese people. But what's different is that, you really told everybody that the UFO is coming on this place at certain time, and you told what those UFO are from. So that was very different. I think nobody can do that. People tend to call UFOs. We do events and we try to call UFOs with love and things like that, but they cannot tell who those UFOs are from, where it's from. And also, there's no guarantee that the UFO is showing up. And Danny, I saw you. I think you were talking to the UFO people. I thought I saw you talking on the beach.
Yeah.
You were.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. So we were in England on May the 10th, and we told thousands of people, news media, everybody around the world, come on this beach at this time. So we picked a small area of the ocean where the craft could come over, and so buildings couldn't get in the way. And we told people what time they were coming. They were from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. Now, this week, Miyoko, I was able to verify that there was also a military craft, an Earth military craft in the sky also that flew over that many people saw. Not a TR-3B, but a TR-9. And I was given information this week of the RAF, which is Royal Air Force, the RAF base that particular military craft flew out of. And that information was passed to me because people in the good military, they want disclosure and they want to show that they are working hand in hand with the good Earth military and the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And this is what we are all bringing to light and evidence. We're naming bases. We're telling the names of people who have contact. Elena Danan, also myself. I ordered the first 2 spacecraft from the Galactic Federation of Worlds. And then JP brought in others, of course. And Elena was there in touch the whole time with Thor Hanaredian. And also he was passing information to JAL, the Admiral. So it was absolutely brilliant. And it's life-changing.
TR9B? TR?
A TR9. So Alex Collier, I was on Alex Collier's channel this week on his private webinar. He interviewed me because he's obviously, Alex Collier supports me, my conference, Elena Danan, Disclosure. And Alex said, I think what flew over was a TR9. Regardless, it was more important for us to gain the name of the military base where the craft came from. I also got inside information that the personnel, the soldiers at the military base were given the weekend off and they weren't told why.
Oh.
Yes.
So exciting. You know, the main media on television everywhere that this happened.
It's everything. But the news media, for some reason, aren't sharing it. Sorry, my electrics. That aren't sharing it. They're trying to block it. So it's down to people like me, people like you, people like Elena, Alex Collier, to tell the world, my darlings, this is the truth. These are the people that you should watch because they can actually prove. You know, who else can say the day, the time, and bring a fleet of craft over? Well, Elena Danan can.
Well, actually, I saw myself that you were talking to the Galactic Federations in front of me. I was, wow, Dani is contacting them. So you are the one who asked them to come because you were quite sure that they're coming. I noticed that. Wow, Dani brought them. That's what really.
And so I requested, just to make it clear, because it's a military base, you know, and we had to prove that this particular military base off planet with beautiful extraterrestrials, they call themselves humans, Pleiadians, etc. We had to prove that they work with the Earth military to protect our planet. So the only way to do that is to go through protocol that these 2 factions are following. So I didn't just shout out willy-nilly, oi, Galactic Federation, you know, I can do that to other ET species, but we had to bring them in. So I booked 2 craft, but I had to go through Elena and through her implant, puts a message to Thor Hanaredian, commander on the XL6 battleship, and he puts it into his senior boss, who is a man called Jor-El Astar. And then it came. We did a broadcast on Elena's channel this week where we showed the paper trail. We showed my email going to Elena, then Thor Hands coming back. It was all 010101, the binary code. Oh, yeah. And then eventually Jor-El's replied back to me. So we've put all the evidence out there. You know how hard we work for evidence. It's everything.
And I saw you myself that you were extremely confident that the 2 spaceships are coming before that day or before the event. You were very confident, very confident. I saw it. Wow, Dani is so confident because you asked them and you got the reply that they're coming. But it was a bit late, but I wasn't worried because there was Elena in front of me and I could see her actually contacting Thorhan. Right in front of my eyes, she was contacting Thorhan, and she got, she could tell us what's happening. So that was so exciting, to actually see that happen. So thank you very much for those G6. So this time it's your 3rd time, 4th time?
5th.
5th? Wow, congratulations. And you always have so many people come to your event. Oh, I don't know how you can manage that, you know?
I have a team that help me. So
Yeah.
they're amazing. I couldn't do it. One thing I've learned in life is you have to know what you are good at and what you are honestly, truly
Mhm.
able to do, and then own the things that you are weaker at and bring people in who are good at those things. And
Yeah.
this is a beautiful circle of support and strength that can create beautiful events like Galactic Spiritual Informers.
And
Yeah.
I saw you, you were crying. You were so grateful to your team, grateful, and you were full of love and appreciation. And so you're like an angel. That's why people help you, I think. You know,
Mm.
they will help you, seeing you so grateful. But and Danny, I'm impressed with you in many ways. And I know you're best friend with Elena, so you're very similar. I was impressed because when I invited Elena to Japan, was it last year? It's only last year. It seems long time ago.
Yes.
Oh, because I already did three events in like 1 year and a half. But last year in May, Elena came to Japan for the first time. And but before the event, my mother all of a sudden passed away. She was 93, but she was quite healthy, but she fell in the garden, tripped off the terrace. So, all of a sudden, she went to the hospital, PCR test, and she died. And so that was just before the event. And you were very worried, sending me lots of love energy to support me. I had a chance to talk to you over Zoom, and you said, Miyoko, how are you doing, with your mother passing away? And I don't know, I never asked, but you said your mother is here. And so my mother seemed to have just come to contact you. It's because you see the spirits. So all these spirits seem to come to you, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I never expected, but that time you wanted to make confirmation that it's really my mother because it might be it might be a different spirit that you come. And you said, I don't know if you remember, but you said that you see this kind of shape pottery, this shape. I think you said, and also you said you see a flower. So I said, wow, that's the urn
And
urn where the ashes are. And it is a pottery urn shaped like that. And it has lily flower design on, and it's covered with beautiful cloth. So nobody has seen it. Only me who picked the design, but even my daughter or my husband haven't seen it because it was already covered when it came out. So nobody knows. And so why does Danny know? So Danny, you asked me, I said, yes, that's my mother's urn. So that was one of the confirmation. And then you said you see, when you say you see, I think you're seeing through my mother's eyes. You see that Miyoko, I was banging the door and let me in. And that's the scene that I dashed to my mother because my mother was, almost dying. And I had a phone call from the hospital around 12:30 midnight, and it was like 40 miles away from my home, very far away, because she was taken by ambulance. And so I had to really dash, hurry, hurry, driving the car. And when I arrived, she was already in the emergency room. So I wanted to go and see her, but they made me wait more than 15 minutes. So I was banging the door and let me in, I want to see my mother. And so I think that was the scene you saw. And then next you said that you saw my brother at the deathbed. And actually I have two brothers, but my brother came and he was with me. So me and my brother was able to see my mother before she passed away, although she was already unconscious. But then after, my daughter and the family and everybody in different locations, they all came, but they weren't able to make it. My mother already, stopped breathing. But that's what you said, the brother has come in time, but my mother was already out of body and she saw everything. So that was from my mother that you got that, information. So, all that was very correct. And then you said my mother's father came to greet my mother, which also because my mother loved her father very much, respected, and always talk about her father. She was the only child. So it's quite, understandable that the father, only child, would come to greet her, but the mother was also behind the father, and also husband was there, but the father was the one who came, and so that really made sense. So wow, then you really can connect with the spirits. That would really help people, because that really helped me. And you gave me all the lovely messages from my mother. So that was really very, very helpful for me, because lots of people say they can communicate and they say many things, your mother is okay, happy, but you really have to prove it. It's completely different when you can prove. So, that was very convincing that my mother is very happy and she's smiling and all that kind of things. So I thought, Danny, you should come to Japan and do that. You'll be very, very popular, because lots of people nowadays are losing loved ones. And I think that's very, very important mission or important ability that you have. So I want to ask you about your experience. When did you start to see these spirits, the special ability that you have?
For as long as I have memory, I have seen angels, demons, the earth people, humans. There are some humans here that are so frightened when they die to go to the light because religion has threatened them with going to hell and being judged. And I'm talking very regular, sweet people who've been traumatized from childhood. So even though they're an old person, they will just be wandering around. The light will come, the angels will come, and they will refuse to go. And some of them stay here for a long time. And I am someone who feels them, sees them, and then I will bring the angels and bring the love and help them leave and tell them that there is no judgment in heaven and that they were lied to. And when they hear that truth, it can free them from the ties that bind on our planet. Our planet has been very manipulated by many different beings, let's call them. I remember when your beautiful mum, I was so worried about you because I know what it takes to create an event, a conference. And I think Helena was your only speaker the first year. Wasn't she the only person that you had? And it was so wonderful of you to do an event for her and bring her to the beautiful
Elena, I never met her. It was my first time to meet her, even.
Ah,
I didn't
so
know what she was like. I've interviewed her, but I've never really met her in person.
yeah. Yeah. So, and obviously I knew you told me that because you and I were already friends, and you told me that your mum had died, and I was like, oh God, I've got to reach out to you and just check on you, make sure you're okay, and that you need to, because when something traumatic happens like that, it's such a shock. And then you went straight into the event, and you're a perfectionist, and it would have been everything on you. And so I wanted to make sure that you were really taking care of yourself, breathing, helping to release the trauma from your body, because that's very important to do. And then when we spoke, I was just really calling you to give you a cuddle and check on you when I felt your mother's energy come in. And often with you, are you getting goosebumps? Yeah, this is her. I got them to me. Did you see me do this to myself? This is I don't know if anyone can see my goosebumps and my hair standing on it. But yeah, this is the beloveds. And so I was talking to you, and then I felt her. And often the beloveds, people like your mum, the beloveds, I call them, they come in on the right hand side of me. There's no particular reason why, but I've learned over the years to gauge, is that a human spirit? And the ETs and the aliens, depending on if they're negative or a little bit tricky, they'll come in with different vibrations. And the angels, when the angels come, the angels are always in a more elevated position of energy. So they're going to come in higher. And if it's a really negative demonic, they come in very low and they're like literally some of the things you hear on horror films, the growling, the deep kind of gore, yeah, that's what they can sound like. So yeah, they come in, and your mum, she was very insistent that there wasn't pain at the end, and that she watched you and your brother. And I remember her saying it was very quickly. And you're right. When I'm giving someone a reading, and of course, when your mum came in, I said, may I give you a message? I didn't know your mum was going to come through and be able to prove to you that she saw you, and it's so beautiful. I'm so happy and honored. Can you imagine what an honor that is, to tell someone about their parent across the world? And I never met your mum. I knew nothing about the situation. But this is what I do in my life as a being on this planet. I have to be able to bring proof. You must bring evidence, because I could say anything to you. I could just say, "Oh, Miyoko, your mum's fine," and that still could be true, but you needed
Yeah.
proof
Yes.
that she saw you and your brother, that she showed me the beautiful urn that you chose for her. I didn't know she was incinerated, cremated. I didn't know that. And for me, it's important. So I always say, to whenever a spirit comes in, I always say, you better bring me some evidence, darling, because we need to prove that it's you. The only tricky thing I found is, because obviously I'm British, so I don't know, I don't pronounce all of the Japanese names that come in. It's not that easy for me to do that, but I don't edit. I just give what I hear, and that's my duty. And then the person can then decide whether or not that relates to them.
Yeah.
Um, your mum has a beautiful, gentle, sweet, soft energy, and so if she came again, let's say, because I've met her frequency once, I would recognize her frequency. It's like when I've sat with people over the years, and I say to everyone, do not tell me one thing about you. I don't need your help. Because if you implant an idea, it's going to get in the way of the reading.
Yeah.
And then I remember one time, or more than one time, but recently, I had one woman, and her mama died, and she was so upset, and I gave her information. And then another woman booked me, and I'm reading for the other woman. And then this lady came in from spirit, and I said, I know this lady. I think
Mhm.
her name was Helen. I said, I know this is Helen. I said, I've met Helen. And a lady went, yeah, you were talking to my sister yesterday. And she told, yeah, or the other day, yeah. So yeah, you get used to their frequency, because everybody has a signature frequency. The ETs do, the angels definitely do, and the humans, our spirits do too. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I've been to the Mora Institute for a long time ago, maybe year 2005 or 2006, and I became official outreach facilitator. So I went
Oh,
to many trainings. I don't have your ability from birth, but I'm very interested. So I went through hemisync, workshops, and I got that title, the outreach facilitator, official one. So I used to do hemisync workshops. And in the Moral Institute, there was a trainer named Kevin, and he was like you. He could communicate with spirits, and he said it was an honor for him. It was like a delightful experience, and he didn't want money. He just loved doing it. But I noticed that he always wanted confirmation. He said something, and he was, for the customer or the whoever asked, he would ask, if that sounds right. Does that sounds like your mother or your husband? So that was very nice. There's lots of people just saying, this person is saying this and so, and it could be just made up, as you said. So I think that's the proper way. The person who really do it, they give confirmation. So.
yeah, evidence. But again, us humans, when we talk to another human, we go, "Hi, how are you?" And they always say, "I'm fine," or "I'm good," or "I'm well," or so there's always going to be like generic responses. But like I say, but that's why you gotta bring something absolutely
Mhm.
just so different that the person you're sharing with goes, ah, now I feel that. Now I trust that. It's I never, I mean, people say that there's been a huge encouragement for people across the world not to talk to spirits, because the church has tried to say it's the devil. Ooh, it's the devil. That is so cruel of the church and rude of the church, because it shuts people's natural abilities down. Of course, we want comfort. We want to know, we want to know that our children are fine. And years ago, I lost a little boy that I was pregnant with, and I was devastated. And I thought that might.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I don't talk about it. But what's lovely, and I want to say to other women out there and men, if you've lost a child, let's say that miscarried at a few months or whatever, and you didn't name your baby, that's still a baby, in my opinion. And I named my son Darius, and I knew it was a boy. I mean, I held him in my hand, and he just, miscarried. It was very sad. And I named him Darius because I love that name. I don't know why I love that name. It's the name of an ancient king of Iran, Darius, one of the kind of Babylonian Sumerian. I didn't know that at the time, but yes, so my little Darius. And then so he was buried with a name. That was important to me. I was only in my 20s. And I see him every single year. And I couldn't believe when it first started happening. A year after he passed, I saw him as a little tiny 1-year-old little boy, and he ran behind me. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And I realized that I'm peeking into heaven, and that some of the baby spirits that don't get physically fully born, they grow up in heaven. They grow up. So every year I have seen my son get older and older and older. He always runs behind me, and he's always wearing a white Greek toga because his father, who I was madly in love with at the time, was a Greek Cypriot. And so my child would have been part Greek and part British and, part bitch. Just
But you
joking.
have a son. Danny, you have a son.
Yeah, yeah, in heaven. I have a son in heaven.
Seeing you and growing up. How old is he now? Maybe about 15?
Like, yeah, older than that. Yes. He's a little older than that, my darling.
So you
She doesn't tell her age.
have fun. I know all that because as I said, from the Monroe Institute, that, they have physical experience. 1 year, 2 year, they go through the school, So, people that think, the child that's died at the age of 3, well, he didn't have chance to go to kindergarten and have friends and go to primary school and junior high school. But actually, as you said, they go through all that with lots of loving people. But, but I know, but I don't physically see them. But you're lucky because you were able to see your own baby grow up,
Yeah.
which not very many people can experience.
Yeah, that's true. And that was another, because I was awake as a child, always seeing these things, negative and positive. I can look at a person. If a person is really seriously ill, with my eyes, because I'm so clairvoyant and I've been born this way, I see through. I see through all the different layers, and I'm not looking for it. So most of the time, I don't want to see it. And a lot of the time, what I've learned to shut the spirits off, because I'm telling you, they would be at the end of my bloody bed. There'd be like 10, 15 people. I would be waking up, I would hear chatter, and I'd be like, oh my God, I'd open my eyes, yeah. And there are a ton of people. And all they want is for me to see them, And for many years, I was so frightened. Can you imagine being a child and you open your eyes, there's all these bloody people
It's all in
standing.
your book. It's all in your book, your child.
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's all these spirits coming out of floor, door, window, everywhere.
Yeah, it's crazy.
You're so strong. You were already fighting.
I know my whole life. That's why, again, people, they see the warrior in me. I am so strong. But, people have to remember as well is that there's something called balance. So as fierce and as strong as I am and standing up for humanity and sharing all the truth that I know to be true, I'm just as soft. That is the balance of the human.
Yeah,
You know, I am extreme ends of emotion, you
yeah.
know, and that's part of my role. It's not easy being that way all the time, of
You're
course.
very,
You know,
you're very, very strong warrior, as you said. You've been fighting from your childhood with all these demons, the spirits around
yeah,
you coming. But it's extreme. So you see angels as well. So
yeah.
you're also like a very angel. So you have both. That's why you're so attractive and charming.
Uh, yeah, the angels are so different. They're so different. They feel different. The sounds they make. I feel emotional because they come in, the real angels, because as you know, there are some entities that will pretend to be an angel, but the real ones, they come in with such a high feeling of unconditional love. It's a feeling that really words don't explain it. But I remember when I very first saw, or in recent memory, like I would say like 20 years ago now, I was traveling from America to England and I was staying with a friend. And I said to her, I am so tired. I've been traveling 24 hours. I'm exhausted. So I had a cup of tea and just went to bed. And I was laying down in bed and I heard this giggle. And so I kind of opened my eyes, and above me were two baby angels. Like these little, look, can you see these little
Oh, yes,
baby
I
angels?
can see. Yes, yes, he was covered with.
Yeah.
Wow.
But these were like big fat, they were blonde haired, blue eyed, big fat cherub babies. And the thought that, because it's so weird, you go like that and there's these two big fat babies just floating up there. Your brain's going, what is that? And the thought I had was they had the tiniest wings, Miyoko. Their wings were tiny, tiny wings. And my brain said, how is that logically possible that those two big bouncy babies are being suspended with those?
Yeah.
And they both looked down. One was a boy, one was a girl. They both looked down. Then they went like that and disappeared. And I sat up, pinching like, I'm like, oh my God, I just saw that. That wasn't a dream. I wasn't asleep. I haven't done drugs. I'd never done drugs. I'm like, I had a cup of tea and I went to bed. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God. And they, some people would say they're the cherubim or the seraphim. There's different thinking around the different elements of the archangels. But my goodness, that was one of the highest frequencies I've ever witnessed and felt, like just beautiful. And there's other experiences I've had too. And I've also had an angel that was pretending to be an angel, but was a demonic. You see, because
Wow.
yes, so I was looking after a baby, a newborn baby. I was a nursery nurse for years, took care of a lot of children. And I was in the baby's room and he was in a crib across the room. And I remember waking up. Oh no, I was in another room. That's right. He was in a separate room. Sorry. Because I remember, yes. So here's what happened. So I was in my room and I felt like, oh, I felt something's wrong. Something's wrong. And I knew I had to go to check on the baby. I walk in the room and there is an angel standing like this, praying over the baby. The first split second thought I had was, oh, there's an angel guarding the baby. And then the second split second thing I had was, oh my God, it's evil. And so I punched it, obviously. Oh, yeah, I punched and kicked at
And
it.
physically.
Physically,
Okay.
I physically punched at it to get it away from the baby because in the split second that I saw it, I felt it. And then I realized, oh my God. And then when I realized what it was I'd seen, this supposed angel had no wings. It had no plasma frequency of light around it either, which some people mistake for wings, right?
Hmm.
And it was naked, Miyoko, and it had this terrible dark haircut, but its frequency was dark. So some people will mistake a beautiful looking angel. Oh, it's an angel, but you have to trust your heart because when you walk into a room, your heart reads. It's not your brain. It's not really your eyesight. It's your heart. Your heart's the scanner of everything. So when I got that, like, bang, and not sorry, and I'd do it again, and I have done it. We've got to not be impressed
Oh,
with things we think have got power over us, because they simply don't.
so through your profession, you guarded lots of children and babies. But
Yes.
what was this demon going to do if you didn't punch it?
I don't know what the demon's agenda was, but it wasn't good. And it thought it found a child to maybe bother, maybe make unwell. I don't know. They do different things, but I don't want to scare people, because if we don't have enough information about something, people can worry too much, or
Mm.
they can imagine that, you know, they can imagine things that aren't true. So I want to be very careful and gentle with this. But like you held my book up, Angels, Demons, and Aliens. This is such a good book. It's got so many of my true life experiences that we're sharing a little bit of, which will help them. And, it's important that so many children who are now adults, they've seen so much, but their mum, their dad, their teacher, their vicar, their pope, their bishop said, oh, no, 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 you didn't. That's evil. That's your imagination. And then we shut it down, bang. Most children's imagination is interfered with and shut down at the age of 7. And then we stop being open to magic. It's
Mhm.
so sad, isn't it?
It is. Is Danny, there's lots of people that's losing their loved ones all of a sudden, and it's very, very dramatic and sad for people who lost their children, especially. So, what would you advise these people that lost their children?
Yeah, that lost their children. I myself, like what I did as well, is when the children, when they leave, their soul leaves, the energy soul leaves, and they go straight to God, straight to light, straight to love. We all go back to the energy that we came from, and that's where we go. We go back there again. We're not caught, we're not stuck, we're not, especially the children, because the angel realm are there to guard and guide and bring the children home. And when someone is passing away, let's say an adult, there is always, I call it the gathering, there is always a group of spirits who once knew the person dying. Here's an example. My grandfather was dying. My mum, my dad, my mum's brothers, me, we were all in the room together. And then I start to see the energy in the room shift. And when someone's going to die, I see it looks like snow, just very gentle snow. And the frequency shifts and it changes. And I can feel it with my whole body. And I really loved my granddad. And we didn't expect him to die. We were there celebrating his birthday. We bought cake and, it was like, and then as I'm sitting against the window watching, my granddad's in the bed, my mum's next to him, my uncles are standing there, my dad's there. I see this lady enter, a spirit lady, enter and sit at the bottom of my granddad's bed. And, my granddad was nearly 100. Okay, so this woman was a lot older. And I looked at her and I thought, oh my gosh, oh, there's a spirit woman and she's coming to give granddad some comfort. And then I was like, oh my God, it's the gathering. And I heard it. I heard a voice, I heard a name, and I heard it's the gathering, meaning the spirits are coming. He's gonna leave. And then I heard the name Betus. And I said, Mum, what's Betus? What's that? And she said, oh, Mam Betos. She said that was Granddad's mother. So my grandfather, his mum came at the bottom of the bed. I've never met her. Big woman in an old-fashioned Welsh bonnet, because that side of Welsh. And again, Betus. And Betus wasn't even her name. Betus was the name of the village. The village was called Betus, and she was called Mam Betus because that's the village she lived in. So again, I didn't even know that. So anyway, so I want people to know when our beloveds pass, there is a gathering. It'll be like for you, your mum's father came first. and the others were there. But always significant people that we've loved, they always come. They always come. You know, we have to take comfort in that. We do.
Thank you. Um, this is just for Japanese people because I'm going to translate this into Japanese. In a month of August, we had the atomic bomb at, to end the war in Japan, the famous atomic bomb. But at the same time, in this month, it's 40 years since, I don't know if you heard of it, but Japan Airline Flight 123 crashed into the mountain, and that's the most biggest plane crash, not accident, incident in the history. It's had 520 people on board. It was fully, and it was like a Easter holiday, because it was special holiday, and lots of people were going back home, like Christmas or Easter, and it was summer holiday, so there was lots and lots of children on that flight because it was a holiday, maybe 20 or 30, and without tickets on mommy's lap, and even some children like 10 years old would be traveling alone because they had this service. And so there was lots of children, young families, and it crashed into the mountain. And this was a very mysterious incident because actually, I don't know if I can say this on YouTube, but we already who really investigated, no, it's all the same, like Lahaina or 9/11, it's all the same. You understand what I mean? It wasn't an accident. It was a purpose to make that plane crash and by the deep state. So obviously, when it crashed, the American military know the site. So there was a rescue of helicopter flying by, and it was almost put the rope down. And there was the person, the soldier, really testified or said, I was about to go down and rescue, and there were many people still alive, and the rope was already down. And then there was this call from the boss and said, "Don't rescue, come back," because the Japanese authorities said, "Don't rescue because we're going to do it." And what happened is that they said that, but they didn't go for another 14 hours. Can you imagine? The whole night, nobody went on purpose. Like Lahaina, they really, they blocked it, right? They made the people don't not able to escape from the fire. So I'm very, very angry and sad. Like you, I'm very let people know this truth, but at the same time, all these children, very, very, all this young family, they all died at once. But through all this terrible, terrible nightmare experience for like 20 or 30 minutes, can you imagine the plane going up and down, up like a nightmare and crashed? But I think they some of them would experience and remember that for the next lifetime, like a trauma. But I think, lots of these people that experience fire or crash, I think before that, they leave their body. So they don't really feel that pain of the crash or the fire burning their body or anything. So what do you think? And I feel that this is like a soul group on the airplane, that they have this same fate that they chose before coming on this planet, that they might be together on this airplane. But as you said, I'm sure there was lots of angels at the scene, and especially the children were all taken up. So, people that really feeling so sad about it, actually, it's not that sad.
And it's very difficult for a parent to hear that because all they want is their child. They don't care what we're going to say to them. But I absolutely believe and I absolutely know and I absolutely trust when an event is about to occur, the soul leaves the body so that the child, the baby, they are not suffering, they're not burning alive, they are not going through that. They have already left the body. We hear it when there are people who have near-death experiences who leave the body as a trauma event is occurring and they're looking down. We need to remember this so it gives us comfort if we have lost somebody in that flight, for example, because we who are left behind, we put ourselves into a terrible life if we cannot accept that our children, our relatives, the adults, that everybody did not and do not suffer like we think they will in our imagination. And if these people on the plane had made what we call a soul agreement or a group contract, which again, if you're somebody who's lost someone, you don't want to hear that. I understand that. I don't want to hear it either. But when we can get round our pain and we can think about the words that you and I are saying and sharing, then I hope that people will give themselves a moment, accept that the suffering of the ones who died in that plane, for example, did not suffer in the way that we imagine they did. There is something that the angels, God, the creator, whatever you want to call love, it protects and it takes. So they don't, and the name of the one person who gave that order to not rescue the children, their name will be known. They will not get away with that. This is where we are now on the world. We name the leaders, we tell it all. We
Yeah,
don't hold back.
yeah. I'm so mad. But it's just not one Japan airline. It's everything. Everything that's going, every incident and war and terrorist attack and fire and earthquake and all these miseries are caused by this group. And we really should hold them responsible. Even this thing and everything, it's
Yeah,
terrible. That's why you and me are still fighting so hard.
that's very true.
Yeah.
That's very, very true. Yeah, naming them, naming names. That's why I do my conferences. I bring the whistleblowers from the government, the White House, the Pentagon, who've done terrible things. We name the leaders with proof. You can't just have somebody accusing someone of doing something. You have to have evidence, proof, eyewitnesses. And that's what I do at my events. And yeah, we're whistleblowing and naming a lot of badly. And they're still in positions of power. Today, there are still serial killers at high government levels still dictating what we do on our planet today. It's like, no, you're being stepped down. We will step you down. Women like me, Dani Henderson, and women like Miyoko Sano, we will step you down.
I'm not going to stop this movement till they
Yeah.
are all gone. But thank you to Galactic Federations and like Elena Danan. We get, some hope. Yeah,
Yeah.
truth that we're going to be okay.
Yeah, we have great hope. We have enormous hope. Look what I just did this week, proving that the Galactic Federation work with RAF Lakenheath. We named the military base here. But we have to remember, they are not guardian angels. They
Yeah.
are not Jesus or God. They are not omnipresent spirits. These are human military extraterrestrials. So
Oh,
we have to do the work.
they're losing life as well. They risk their life.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They risk their life. But those that think, oh, I'll just wait for the Galactic Federation, I would say, my love, you need to grow up
Yeah.
because they're not omnipresent spirits. They're not going to swoop down. They're not the gods. We have to do the work. We have to raise up. We have to be that love frequency that the darkness can't penetrate. The dark cannot touch this. When this vessel is raising up in its power, the same power every single being on this world has. So we have the tools. We always did. We just weren't told.
Well, Elena Danan, emissary, is doing a wonderful job, but she need event platform like you to show herself. So you're
Yeah,
a very good teamwork together. And
we are.
you've met Thorhan Eredian yourself.
Yes, yes, I have.
Yeah.
Yes, I have met
Oh.
Thor Hanaradian more than once,
Mhm.
and he is a physical person, a human person. Yes, I have. And before I came back here to this planet, I knew him, and he's been around me as a child. and obviously as an adult. And when Elena, Danan, and I found each other again, I was able to share, and she was able to verify, and yeah, and other ETs in her group like Annex, like Admiral Ardana. Yeah, I'll leave that there.
So you're like member of Galactic Federation yourself.
Well, they certainly know who I am. Yeah, the people I've mentioned. Yeah, yeah.
The
Uh,
warrior person. You're the
yeah,
warrior, Elena.
and here also to protect Elena. I fiercely protect that lady. I publicly fight for her honor because I was telling you earlier today, there's a group of women. We were all friends. We were all good friends. And everybody had a little bit of the story to bring disclosure. But because Elena stands head and shoulders above them, because she's not like them. She
Mhm.
sees everything. She brings proof. NASA is scared of her. Aerospace Corporation, they are scared of Elena because they don't own her. They can't say what she brings isn't real because it's real. She is helping us advance in disclosure. But these women who are like 40, 50, and 60-year-olds, right? They are on a man's platform on YouTube, and they're all saying horrible things about her. They are all being mean girls. So you can see the people that haven't done their healing work, that they just all gang together and they attack Elena Danan, and they've got nothing to offer disclosure. They've been doing what they've been doing, and now we're all bored. We're like, we heard that. We've already heard all that. And now they're like, wow, let's get Elena. It is absolutely pathetic and very sad. And so, yes, I publicly defend her. It's another reason why I stand with her. So I'm a civilian like she is.
But your mission is that one of your missions. You have many missions.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
in G6, you're going to have not just Elena Denan, but you're going to have Kathy O'Brien. And I interviewed her for my book, and I like her very, very much. She is like you. She has a very high frequency and full of love. And so I think you and Elena and Kathy O'Brien, three of you, would beam lots of loving energy, high frequency, full of love. And that's going to be beautiful. Ah, and Nikki is also there, right?
Yeah, Nikki. Yeah. Nikki Allen. Yeah, she's incredible.
Also women, but full of love.
Yeah, 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 and it's a surprising as well, how we recognize that people like you, people like me, we are bringing disclosure, and I love men and I love men leaders, but you and I, people like you and I, are leading full disclosure on the planet. It's not the men, it's the women doing it.
I do lectures for a long time, since 2008, already more than 10 years or 15 years. First I was doing law of attraction because I translated the best-selling book, The Secret. So I was more known then than now because people love The Secret, the law of attraction. So,
Yeah.
but, from since then, from 2008 or 2009, all my audience and followers, 80% are women. so, so yesterday I had this little tea party, small lecture in Ginza, and there were 90% women, always. Beautiful, beautiful souls, and they really like justice, and they're very angry at whatever's going on, and very similar energy. So I
Yeah, yeah.
love women.
Mhm, mhm. Everybody has their parts. Men have their part, women have their part. A lot of the missions are intertwined between the men and the women, but we need to remember that women, we are the creators. We create the life inside of the body. We hold that life of the child and we birth that life forward.
Yeah.
And then we release I call it the tree of life, the other part, the birth, second part of the birth.
Mm.
And it's important that we reclaim who we are, standing strong, and that there are so many people with gifts like mine. They can see the angels, they can see the spirits of the beloved, they can see the people who passed away. I'm not the only one, and we come in, we are humans, we are absolutely magical, magical, magical beings.
Actually, I once fell really backwards in my bathroom with all the heavy things. I was in bathtub and I couldn't move my leg because I was in bathtub. I had all these laundries holding, very heavy, and I really fell backwards. Can you imagine? I can't put my leg backwards. So I really
Uh,
hit my head hard with a very heavy thing in bathroom. So when I hit the floor, I couldn't move even my finger. And when I was falling, I thought I was going to die. So I
oh,
said, "Oh, my angels, 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 please help me. Angels, please help me. Please help me." I remember I really, really from bottom of my heart, I was really shouting for my angels to help me, and I couldn't move my finger. And I was able to, about 30 minutes later, I was able to get my mobile phone, and I was able to call the ambulance, my daughter, and I was taken to the hospital and into the emergency room. But in about 2 hours, I was already released with nothing.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I still remember, I think I was protected by the angels. So if you really ask them, I think they really help you.
yeah,
What
yeah. I truly believe that. No, it's true. It's true. The angelic realm are here to support and to love. We have to give them our permission. They're not allowed just to step on in and take care of stuff, and it doesn't work that way. We're the ones in the body having the experience. We have to give them our permission to help and support us, but we don't want to be praying and begging. I mean, in your situation, you beg, you scream, you yell, you do anything you can. But in general, when we're like praying and asking, we don't want to put out begging energy, desperate energy. We want to say, okay, I'm in a situation. I need help with this. I need support with this. Archangel Michael, Archangel Uriel, Archangel Azrael, Archangel Raziel, Gabriel. There's so many. There's so many, all with a different task, all with generally a different color, and all generally with a different mission to support and a frequency that you get to know. Like Archangel Michael, the real one, because there are mimics. Archangel Michael's frequency is very different from Archangel Raziel. He's a lot older. His energy is older. He has got a different kind of magical feeling to him, whereas Michael is more of a he's got more of a Christ consciousness energy. Archangel Michael, it's more similar to that in my understanding and my own personal experience. Yeah, so yeah, they're there for us to call on.
But I think we always should be very grateful. Just not always asking, but also at the same time be very grateful. Thank you very much for
Yeah,
me. And and based on the secrets, I think it's better to say thank you very much for having, as it was already accomplished.
yeah, yeah. Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, there's some good stuff in that book, The Secret, but people misunderstood a lot of what the art of a power of attraction is. And, because it's like we were told so much, and then some of the keys were not quite revealed. Whereas now, like you say, be grateful, be humble, but you got to step up for yourself as well, and there's many different ways we can attract to us. But energy doesn't lie. So if we're living in a fearful place and we're fearful of a lacking place, and then that's the energy, the responder that's going to come. That's what comes. You know what I mean? It's like knowing who you are, having unconditional love for self, raising soul frequency. We attract higher vibratory resonance and things that we need that will support this life coming from a higher feeling in the body.
Okay, thank you, Danny. You already gave lots of high frequency to this channel. I can feel lots of love and uh, lovely frequency and vibration. And do you have anything else you want to say to the audience?
I just want to say to everybody that I want you to remember that inside of you, there is an inner child, a little girl or a little boy that still might not be fully healed from their childhood. And they still might be very unkind when they talk to themselves as an adult. I want you to remember that that little boy or little girl inside of you hears everything you tell it. So rather than be unkind to you, why don't you be a parent to that child inside of you? And sometimes what I do is if I'm having a sad day, because we're all healing something, I'll invite my inner child, I'll imagine she's 3 years old, and I'll sit her on my lap in my mind, and I'll wrap my arms around her, and I will rub, I will rock, I will soothe her, and I will tell her that I love her, that she is special. And this is so simple and so healing. And for those that aren't able to imagine or bring their inner child, the other thing they can do is when they look in the mirror, treat themselves like their best friend. Tell that reflection, you are beautiful, you are strong, you are valuable, you are worthy, and I love you. And we do this and do this and do this, and this helps heal so much. It's beautiful. So I want to leave your audience with that, please, if I may.
Thank you. I want to be in your arms.
Send you much love, my darling. Hugs.
Well, actually, I always tell that to my followers that you should say that to yourself. I love you, I love you, I love you. But anyway, thank you, Danny. And I'm sure that G6 is going to be a big success and you're going to give lots of love and you're going to uplift everybody that's coming. And you're really a big person in this disclosure movement, very important figure. So thank you very much for all you do for the humanity.
Thank you. Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.